Hey, what's up everyone? Craig here with Weeping Willow Guitar Lessons, and today we're going to take a look at Peggy-O. So Peggy-O is an old Scottish folk song that eventually made its way to the Southern Appalachians, and it's most likely that version that made its way to the Grateful Dead's repertoire. So the Grateful Dead began playing Peggy-O on December 10th, 1973, and they played it every year, at least a couple times, through 1995. And they played it more often between 77 and 1981. So when I was doing my research for this lesson, I found that they started playing Peggy-O in the key of G, and then they eventually switched to the key of A, which we're going to take a look at. So most likely the reason why they switched to the key of A is because it more easily facilitated Jerry's finger-picking part, which we'll take a look at today. And from all the versions in the key of G that I listened to, it didn't sound like he had an established finger-picking part. So that makes sense for the key change. What I found odd though was when they made the switch to the key of A. I was expecting some logical transition like after their break in 74, but then there was a show in 75 they played that it was still in the key of G. Then I thought, okay, when they came back in 1976 that it's probably in the key of A, but no, they started playing it in the key of G still. There's a 6/29/76 version where it's in the key of G, and then the next month in July, I think in July 16th and 17th at the Orpheum Theater, it's in the key of A. So why it switched when it switched, I have no idea. So without further ado, grab your guitar and let's get going. Alright, we're going to take a look at Jerry's finger-picking patterns for Peggy-O. So we're going to start with an A chord. So I've got a bar down here on the second frets of the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings, open A string, then we're going to use an open E string. So this is kind of a Travis style picking part, and I'm going to start with the thumb on the 5th string, and that's going to alternate between the 5th string, the 4th string, the 6th string, and the 4th string. So if you're new to this style of finger picking, the whole Travis picking style, start with just something like this. So the Peggy-O part sounds like this. So we have the thumb alternating, root, 5th. So then once you get comfortable with that, we'll add in the index finger. Playing the 3rd string. That's actually one of Jerry's variations. He's just playing. Then he'll occasionally add in the other notes, which we're about to take a look at. So we have this. Now we want to add the 2nd string. So these are all, the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings are all 2nd fret. So now we have. Alright, so it's very important that you get comfortable with that because that's the basis of this whole tune. So one of the variations we're going to look at for the intro, Jerry would sometimes add that run in. So we have. So the beginning stays the same. Then after we do that part, we're going to pinch the 6th string and the 2nd string at the same time. But this time we're going to play the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, pulling off to the 2nd. Then I use my thumb for this. I'm not sure what Jerry actually uses, but we've got the 3rd string, 4th fret pulled off to 2nd fret. Alright, and then walking into the singing parts, he often plays this bass run that's an open 5th string, open 6th string, 2nd fret 6th string, 4th fret 6th string, and that's all played with the thumb. Alright, and that's when the singing comes in. So, Peggy-O, it starts on an A chord for one measure and then moves to a D chord. So Jerry plays the D chord like this. It's your C shape if you're familiar with your cage shapes. And he does that so he can then alternate to the 5th fret of the 6th string and still has the same, all the same strings as with that A chord. So it's the exact same pattern. It's just now we're on D. So he does that, it's for 2 measures. So here's where the singing starts. To an F sharp minor. If you're familiar with Jerry's playing, he often plays it like this with his thumb on the 6th string. I mean, if you want to play it like a bar, if that's more comfortable for you, but there's definitely advantages to playing like this, and we'll see that in one of the variations. So for this, now our root is on the 6th string instead of the 5th string like it was with the A and the D. So for this pattern, it's similar, but we're just, the bass stays on that 6th string. So we have 6th string, 4th string, both with the thumb. Index finger, I'm playing the 3rd string, so we have then back to the 6th string, then with my middle finger I'm playing the 2nd string, then with the thumb the 4th string, then with the index finger I'm playing the 3rd string. Next chord is, so that's just one time, that's for one measure. Then we go to our C sharp minor chord. So we have the 4th fret of the 5th string, then we have the 6 frets of the 4th and 3rd strings, 5th fret of the 2nd string, and then 4th fret of the 1st string. So this is going to, again, this is a 5th string root chord. We are going to play this pattern right here. So it's 5th string with the thumb, 4th string with the thumb, then we're playing the 3rd string. Again, I use my index. Then back to the 5th string with the thumb, then the 2nd string, I use my middle finger. Then back to the 4th string with the thumb, and then the 3rd string. And for that C sharp minor chord, slide into it from the 2nd fret of the 5th string. And that's just a quick slide. So that's for 2 measures. So we do the pattern twice. Then we go up here, we're on a D chord, but instead of this D chord, we are playing our bar D chord based out of the caged A shape. As you know, Jerry plays it like this, but I find it more comfortable to play it like this. So same pattern as the C sharp minor chord. We don't alternate to the 6th string, although you could if you wanted to. So that's just 1 measure. Then we go back to our A chord. 2 measures. Then we go to our F sharp minor chord for 2 measures. Then A, 1 measure. D, 2 measures. And back to A. So the whole pattern, or the whole verse, sounds like this. Alright, let me do that whole verse again. The whole verse sounds like this. Alright, and then round and round it goes. So, as I mentioned, there's plenty of variations Jerry would do. One is simply just doing this, and then occasionally So another variation is when it gets to the F sharp minor at the end, not the first time, but the 2 bars of F sharp minor after the D, A, you'll hear something like that. So what he does is he makes that F sharp shape, and that's why I said you really need to have your thumb in the bass. So we're pulling off from the 4th to the 2nd fret of the 4th string. So it can be a little tricky to get used to, but we have thumb, then thumb, and that's where the pull off happens. And then I'm adding the 3rd string in there, 2nd fret of course, or you can also add the 2nd string if you wanted to. do whatever you want with it, but that's one of the variations you hear often. So we have